Welcome to this episode of Everyday Enchantment. Today, on this episode, we are going to talk about feeling feelings. Now, as a former teacher, I don't know if you know this about me, but I taught middle school for almost 10 years. And I spent most of my life, even before that, working in schools and camps and with kids, you name it. I was all in the teacher energy. And what I realized as I became a coach and as I went through my own transformation is that most of us did not get taught, trained, equipped, whatever you want to call it, with actually how to feel our feelings. I don't know if you are anything like me, but for most of my earlier life, if a feeling came up, I can remember my mother saying, like, here, go out and play, or here, don't be so sensitive, or here's a cookie, or whatever it was. When something came up for me, maybe I was sad or I was angry, or I was really happy. Sometimes, like, if you were too happy, it was like, okay, settle down, quiet yourself, don't get all wild and crazy. I mean, I can think of all the messages that I got as a little youngin, that had nothing to do with feeling feelings. It was like, let's distract you from whatever that feeling is. And I'm particularly talking about more uncomfortable ones, but like I just used in the happiness example, it could be that too. How do we actually allow ourselves to feel all the joy of a moment? Most of us think we can, but I actually think when we're shutting ourselves off to sadness, disappointment, overwhelm, you name it, it's like crimping a hose. You're also cutting yourself off at the other end to joy, bliss, peace, maybe. I don't know. To me, peace is in there because it's such a beautiful feeling of just contentment and solitude and those kinds of things. So I talk a lot about feelings because in enchantment, in practical magic terms, if you do not allow yourself as the human to be in the feelings, I do also believe you are cutting your inner wisdom off as well too. That intuitive soul knowing that you have inside that's going to help you navigate today, navigate this moment. When you shut everything down, it's like you're shutting down the entire computer. So that intuition program that's like wants to be open and running is like shut down as well too. So I like to really say that again, enchantment is about kind of that soul knowing, and that soul knowing is very grounded in, right? Everything's going to be okay, and I can be in this, right? The soul isn't afraid to experience whatever it is here. And then the human is absolutely, has this, I don't want to say constant, meaning like overwhelm, but it does have a flow of energy moving through it. And a lot of that can be an emotional energy as well. And so, how do we integrate the, like, we know it's all okay in the bigger sphere of collective consciousness and oneness, and we don't skip over the fact that, hey, we're human and we're mad and something has really got us upset. So again, I'm going to share a couple practical ideas. You do it whatever way feels right to you, but I'm going to start with my number one thing is, I have a couple tells in my life, and I don't know if you do too, or maybe you do and you haven't thought about them in this way. But there are times when, if I am eating a certain food, like cookie dough, and again, not always, but there's this kind of tell for me, cookie dough, brownie batter, usually because it's related to my childhood around my mother baking with me. And again, kind of, maybe she didn't intentionally do this, but distracting me from a lot of the sadness and things that were going on in my life. So I kind of had this little wiring going on at some point. Ooh, brownie batter, cookie dough makes life better in some way. So if I'm reaching for that, again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. However, I do ask myself, hey, is there something going on here? You don't want to know, feel, let come to the surface. And so by doing that, again, I'm not beating myself up about any of this. Have the cookie dough or the batter. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, stay, shut this shit down. It's, oh, okay, there's information here. So you maybe it's, and I've done this too, the extra glass of wine or the cocktail, or sometimes it's just the cocktail, right? It's like I want to just take the edge off of something or the edge off of being around certain people, right? There's all of these kind of different things. Sometimes I just want to have a really beautiful cocktail and have a summer evening and just enjoy. And then other times it's like, oh, I don't really want to be around these people. And so I'll have a couple drinks and that'll make it more tolerable. So again, curiosity. And it doesn't have to be this big deal. Oh, I'm going to analyze my feelings. It's just like you're just noticing. You're just taking these mindfulness moments. Sometimes 3 days later, I go, ah, yes, the brownie batter. I know exactly what was going on there. And again, see how I'm like doing it in a very loving, like light way. I'm not, oh, you're going to come to the principal's office and you're going to get in trouble, Stace. And now let me tell you all the ways that you have messed up, fucked up, all the things. No, 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 no. Okay. So that is, if you have a tell or a couple tells, that can help you just bring awareness. Hey, is there something? Now, for me, again, in my own life experience, when people got angry, and I might have said this on another podcast if you've heard me say it before, when people get angry in my life or in my childhood life, people left. Like they disappeared. They just shut things down and like my father would just walk out for like, I don't know, hours, days, silent treat, you name all the things. When I was married to my first husband and he was angry, I would get the silent treatment. I think there was one time, like it was like a week. Now, I'm not saying this is okay. I'm just saying that then there's a part of me that when I get angry, I want to suppress it all the way. Last summer, I don't know what happened, something cracked, and all sorts of anger that wasn't just in the present moment, but things that I've held in my body because I haven't yet given myself permission. Like, it's okay to be angry about that. It's okay, even if it happened 10 years ago, or last week, or a minute ago, whatever it is, like allowing yourself to be uncensored, whatever. I have grieved loss. Again, these aren't linear things in terms of, oh, I feel something and then it's over. Sometimes you just lean in a little bit, something's there, and maybe you lean in a little bit deeper, or maybe it's something new. Who knows? Like, we don't have to analyze everything. But I find here's my next strategy besides the tells, or in addition to the tells. My next strategy is really about getting still every day, having some type of spiritual practice. Now, for me, it's walking in the woods, it's meditation, it can be exercise for me too, but there's some kind of movement that doesn't have an agenda, right? I'm just kind of meandering, or I'm in class just having some fun, doing whatever I'm doing in a class, an exercise workout class. And that stillness for me, when I started doing that, and this has been a while ago now, I did it for 5 minutes, maybe 3 times a week. I found a guided meditation and I said, okay, I can do this. It was miserable for the first probably month or so because it was new and different. Doesn't mean that I needed to give up. It just is like, oh, you're trying something you haven't done before. When you create space, in your life, 5 minutes. It will allow you, right, to listen to what is going on within you. And it might not happen right away, but you're starting a new relationship when you start to do that. When you go for the walk, when you move your body and you just check in with yourself. It's instead of all your energy going outward, you're allowing your energy and your focus and your awareness to be inward. And again, these don't have to be big, heavy practices. To me, now that they're kind of habits or whatever you want to call it, they're on autopilot in a way that I'm like, ooh, and not always, but my life lends itself now to be like, what's going on? Now, my brain wants to figure out all the things. And here's my third strategy: you do not need to figure it out from your brain. If you're having an emotion, it can absolutely just be felt by itself. Oh, my chest is tight. I'm just going to sit here. What does my body need in this moment? What do I need in this moment? What would feel most like love? How can I just give myself permission to feel it? Again, sometimes it's like an uncensored vomit out in a journal or whatever, or I, talk to a friend that I really trust or a coach. These are different ways that we can absolutely embrace our humanity, embrace those parts. Sometimes, again, it could be related to something, but I find that usually if I try to jump into the head stuff first or with the emotion, like, and I don't just let the emotion move, then usually, well, a couple things could happen. I can stay there a while, just spin, but I generally find that after the emotion has moved through, after you've allowed it to go all the way through your body, then I tend to say to myself, is there any wisdom there? And then that is where, I don't know if it's intuitive, soul, whatever you want to call it. It's almost like the soul then gets to join the conversation, right? There's this integration that I just spoke of between our humanity and like this collective consciousness of divine source that we are. And so how do we make these things kind of, again, partner with each other in a way that creates a life that, again, you're not afraid. You absolutely can say, yeah, do I want to like lean into the depths of grief? No, maybe not. That's not on your Monday agenda. However, I can do it, and I can get support, and I can do all sorts of things. Jill Bolt years ago had a very famous TED talk and book about stroke of genius. She was, I think, a neuroscientist, a neurobrain. She studied the brain, and she discovered through having her own life experience of having a stroke that when we don't stop it, right, when we don't interfere with feeling feelings, they last pretty much 90 seconds. So, again, this fear that, oh my gosh, if I feel the sadness, I'm going to be in a dark space for 3 days. I don't know. I mean, nobody knows the answer, but I trust now that the more I let things just flow and I don't stop and go, oh, well, my brain has to get involved all the time, the more it's like, oh, yeah. The other day, I think I was feeling something. I was like, oh, I'm just feeling a little, I don't know exactly. Maybe it's a little sadness. Maybe it's just, again, a little like low point for me in this space. And that's okay. Like, I don't have to figure it out like it's a puzzle. I can just say, "Huh, interesting." And then again, like I said, if something wants to come through about it, then I allow the space for it. So whether you do it in the morning, whether you do it in the evening, you let yourself have a couple spaces during the middle of the day, however you want to do it, but that spaciousness, and I'm talking sometimes a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I like to jam for a good like 20 minutes. That's kind of my sweet spot because my mind races for the first couple moments and I've got to just allow her to just kind of, I don't know, it's like almost like get it all out. And then I just say, okay. And then there's almost like that space that then emerges from there. So tell me what you think. How do you process feelings? How do you feel them? This is something, again, I don't think most of us were encouraged, taught, really gave space. Like, this is safe to do. It's safe to be angry, or it's safe to be this. And again, maybe one emotion was okay. Like anger, I think sometimes can be very much okay, but sadness, not so much. And again, there's a whole spectrum of different kinds of emotions here. I'm just kind of touching on some of the ones that most of us are talking about. All right. Let me know. Let me know what you're doing, how this is working, what if these ideas resonate, and if there's something else you'd like me to speak about in regard to this topic or anything else. Enchantment. This feeling stuff is absolutely tied to, again, your magic. The more you allow yourself to be who you are, human and soul, the more you're going to find that they come together and play in like ways that are going to blow your mind. All right, beloveds, have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon. That's it for now, loves. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Get all the juicy details and links we've mentioned in the show notes. If learning more about how you can use your own enchantment to live a oh hell yes life, come get your own coaching session with me by going to staceyandon.com and signing up for my homepage. And as always, come chat with me about this topic and all things enchantment in my Facebook group, Everyday Enchantment. See you on the flip side.